now.
Father, I wanted to ask you, you had mentioned that whatever makes us feel open and empty, it's okay to use those notions and ideas so long as it it keeps you in an open, empty state. Now, I'm afraid that if I am planning, strategizing my time, um, relationships, time, money, business, that by following the direct path, there's a fear that that responsibility towards these things I feel are important will be lost. I will lose that which I have now.
Nice,
Can you
nice.
please help me?
Yes, my dear. Yes, yes, yes. So we'll look into that. First, I want you to prioritize, no, and I want you to prioritize like the most important things that need to happen for your body mind at this moment. What are the most important things?
To feel happy and vital.
Yes, yes, but even to have that, first your heart needs to beat, no? Your breath needs to still function, and there are millions of processes that need to happen in the body so that the body can remain as one body in the first place. You see, so these would be number one priority before we can decide that this body should get this also, and it should be like this. It should be comfortable. At least these basic things need to happen, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes, yes. Now, who is doing all of that? Who is beating your heart and making your breath happen and all this millions of processes in the body? Who is making that happen?
Life, divine.
You see? So, that which is taking care of all of these things, can it not take care of the rest of it?
Yes, it
So, is
can, but
divine made a boundary saying, my power extends only to this, you see? But the rest of it is your problem, and that your, by the way, doesn't even exist.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm not saying that you don't have to book up, make appointments, or you don't have to have a calendar. You see, I'm just saying that why cannot the divine do that? Who is hearing these words right now? You see, is there a you sitting there? How is the hearing happening? Who's doing that for you? You see, so suppose you had to book an appointment. To book an appointment, you have to go to your calendar, you have to move your hands, you have to open your calendar, no? So who does that?
This muddy mind is doing that, Father. I'm not seeing it as divine.
You see, but the mind doesn't know how to move a finger, no? Does the mind know how to move a finger? You see, if you were a scientist, you would say, yes, yes, I know how to move a finger. I just have to, some neurons have to fire in my brain, and therefore then this activity happens, the nervous system gets activated, you see. But no mind knows how to fire a neuron. So that which is beating your heart can fire these neurons. Only that. You see? So all action and inaction is dependent on that. The rest of it is just post facto claims and blames which the mind makes for itself.
So So the mind is only doing the conclusions, the concepts, the notions, and
Yes,
the ideas.
yes,
That is it.
yes, yes. It is just the subtitles of the movie. It is just the subtitles in the movie, and which are not accurately. It's a bad subtitle company. There's a bad job of the subtitle. You see, but because the audience didn't know better so far, it seemed like we're stretching the metaphor a bit, but it seemed like the audience didn't know better so far. But after coming to Satsang, you start to recognize that the subtitles are a mess. Did I tell you this story of Nelson Mandela's funeral? Some
No,
of you have told, of course. Did I tell you this one?
no,
No, no. Okay.
no.
So what happened is it used to be one of my favorite stories. So what happened is that in Nelson Mandela's funeral, Obama went to make a speech. You see, but what happened is that the sign language guy, something happened to him. He forgot his sign language, or some, I don't know what happened. Whether he was an imposter or something happened, but most likely he was an imposter. So whatever Obama would say, he would just make some absurd type of sign. You see, and the people who were trying to follow the sign language were saying, what is this guy doing? It is just absurd. You see, but for us who didn't understand sign language, felt like, okay, that must be sign language. You see, you must be doing it accurately. So coming to satsang, you recognize that the testimonies and the narratives of the mind, which are coming as the subtitles for this movie, literally as subtitles, as just these conceptual constructs coming in our mind, have nothing to do with the reality, which is much vaster than it. You see, and it makes claims about individual ownership, individual doership, individual desire, and especially about duality, which are not true. You see, and can be discarded. Okay. So what can happen is that because we picked up these concepts um, with protestation saying, why do I need to pick up all of this as children? And we were told that this is how you can live your life. You see, that is why now as you're being asked to let them go, this fear is coming, but how will I live my life? How will I book my meetings? How will I do my appointments? You see, so so you see, and you see that every day satsang, whenever satsang is there, it starts more or less on time, isn't it? So
Yes.
consciousness has no trouble managing time. You see, so don't get into that trap. Many of us in this kind of spirituality get trapped in the notion of spontaneity, and they only plan to be spontaneous then. You see, so you see, and they don't realize that that is as much a plan as planning is. If you say, for example, that I will only be spontaneous now, that is not spontaneous, that is a plan.
Right.
You see? So, very naturally, uh, all this movement of life can be managed, appointments and meetings and work, and consciousness has no trouble dealing with all of this. You see, if it can make gravity, electricity, light, all of these forces happen, then I don't feel like managing a calendar is so much of a problem.
Father, how about a personality? For instance, if my mind is saying, okay, be cheerful, happy, smiley,
Yeah,
spread joy,
yeah.
is that the mind? Is that the false?
It can be. It can be because this kind of forcible attempt to be happy, you see, it can become an avoidance into meeting what is truly showing up for you. You see, so you don't have to force yourself to forcibly be either happy or unhappy. You see, just whatever is naturally playing out in your natural existence is fine. The greatest gift you can give to the world is to discover yourself and be empty of your ego. You see, then everyone who comes into your presence is naturally blessed. You don't have to make an effort to bless anyone or make anyone happy. You see? And if it is the will of consciousness that your body is going to be used in that way, that it spreads happiness and peace and joy, it will unfold in the most natural way. You see, so those, you see, the blind cannot lead the blind. So to first come to the end of suffering, and then you can definitely help others with their suffering.
Father, I'm afraid then that if I don't uh, decide what to do with my personality, then I may go
Yeah.
into depression, into sadness, which is a problem I faced most of my life.
Acha, acha. So, so remember that Papaji said something very beautiful. He said, to be happy, you need nothing. But to be unhappy, you definitely need something. What that means is that your natural state is happiness. You see, your to be unhappy, you need an idea, something to make you unhappy. You see, and you can experiment with this, and you can come up often as you like. And I'm happy to hear reports about this. You see? And if you tell me that it seems like your natural state is just unhappy, then I'm willing to learn and learn from that experience and change my pointing as well. But usually, I found that in most experience, we find that we need a bundle of thoughts to make us limited and unhappy. But just open and empty, we find it very difficult to suffer. Mhm. But I'm happy to hear your report about this.
But this is one thing, one more thing. I feel if
Yes,
I
yes.
don't plan and strategize, then I get
Mm.
anxious about money, business,
Yeah,
security,
yeah,
relationships. If I
yeah,
try to be in the now and effortless and go with the
yeah,
flow,
yeah,
then the anxiety of the money and bank
yeah.
loans, etc., tends to cause these thoughts to rush in.
Yes, yes. So that's what being in the now does not mean that you don't have a calendar. You see? That's what I'm attempting to clarify. You see, consciousness in the now can very easily make appointments. Somebody calls you and say, "Chanda, madam, what time can we meet this week?" You can open up the calendar and you can look at it very naturally and say, "Okay, I have 11 to 12 free on this particular date. Can we meet then?" It's fine. No? There's no trouble. So all that movement is happening in the manifest play while you are remaining open and empty. This is the experiment I want you to try, you see. So the movement that happens when you're open and empty through that body mind which you consider to be yourself at the moment, you see, can be very naturally and without any sort of trouble, and it's most naturally you can play the roles, all the roles that are needed of being at work, of being at home, all the roles that are required can happen naturally within consciousness. You see, like uh, from openness and emptiness, there are some for 8 years, almost every day satsangs have been spoken. You see, and they come, they just arise. You know? So I may say to you, can we meet tomorrow at 3 p.m.? You see, just as part of this conversation. I don't know. I didn't plan to say that. I didn't have an idea. Okay, this is what I'm going to catch Chanda today and tell her. You see, but it just unfolded, and it may look like a plan, you see. But the thing is that it is just something that consciousness can decide to do spontaneously.
Thank you.
You don't have to plan to not have a plan, because that is as much of a plan as your plan would have been. You see? Just natural simplicity. If you have to, if you have to think about it, should I do like that? Should I do like this? Just let it go. See how it is unfolding. Mhm. And what is important is that don't judge your emptiness based on outcome bias. You see, you know what is outcome bias? It's called resulting. Resulting means that um, if we say that the decision is good based on the outcome, you see, but it has nothing to do with that. So that's called outcome bias, which means that I'll give you an example. One time I had the same conversation maybe 6 7 years ago with somebody who was a psychotherapist. So what happened is I just told her remain open and empty, you see, But she took that pointing in the wrong way, and she decided that, okay, I'm going to just throw away my calendar, you see. And then 2 days later, and she was a bit of a dramatic one, no? So she would speak in a very dramatic way. So she came next time saying, Father, I'm very angry with you. And I said, what happened? She said, as a psychotherapist, 26 years, I've never missed an appointment. But because you told me to remain open and empty, first time I let a patient down and all of that. You see? So, so so remaining open and empty does not mean that we become closed to planning, you see, to having a calendar and making this convenient sort of instrument being used. You see? So these are just convoluted versions of what the mind thinks of when it is advised to remain open. But very spontaneously, all your meetings can be booked if there are meetings to be booked. Very spontaneously, they can be cancelled also if they need to be cancelled. There's no trouble with any of that. So let consciousness drive the car for a bit. It has been driving all this time anyway. So
Father, you do business. May I ask you a question, please?
yeah, yes, yes,
How we are taught in business, you have to strategize how to use
yeah,
so and so person to get maximum effect and network with so and so and so and so.
yeah.
That brings a lot of personhood into it.
Ah, you see?
The
What
brain is
happens?
strategizing, very
So
result oriented.
let me share some light on how things may have changed here before meeting Guruji and after meeting Guruji. So I have to say that most my meetings now have become where I can only, like what you would call, think win-win. You see, I cannot think of how is it that Ananta can make best use out of XYZ, you see, Rajesh, you see, and it can only be about what is showing up that can be mutually beneficial. Of course, we have always said that in business, but only after meeting Guruji, I feel like it's really become that way. It's not about one-upmanship or trying to gain an advantage or play the best moves so that you can win or something like that. It's just about, is there something useful that the business can get? Is there something useful that whether it's a customer or a supplier or whoever can get out of this? So it's about uh, true symbiosis in a way, where you try to create a symbiotic relationship, no? And not, it doesn't happen as in the way that I may be expressing it. It's just naturally flowing that way, you see. And what you'll find is that most management consultants also are now saying the same thing, no? Saying that don't go in trying to win and things like that. Try to create win-win situations, and that's how you create lasting business relationships.
And Father, for instance, if you come across a chief minister, now the mind always goes into what business can I get out of the chief minister or somebody important. It, the mind just comes in. What do I do?
Sorry, we'll just wait for the plane to fly past. Oh, thank you. So, if I heard you correctly, you were saying that you're going to meet the chief minister and you're just like wondering what is the best use advantage you can get out of that. Is that how it is? So,
Yes,
so
Father, if the mind
yes,
just strategizes, then it's already 10 feet ahead. Or this year, this, 6 months
yeah,
later, this, 8 months later, this. You're a bundle of
yeah,
thoughts and mind.
yeah. But actually, we say 10 feet ahead, but actually, maybe it makes us more constricted and limited and makes us
Yes.
more close minded. And we don't allow the naturalness of the conversation to play out. You see, it becomes more trying to veer it in a particular direction. And we don't actually know that we may be missing or gaining opportunities we can't really be sure. You see? And who is to say that what opportunity is the best for us and what is worst for us? You see? Suppose you got a project for 30 years and you're just like, okay, financially I'm set for now, but maybe you're stuck in a place you don't want to be for that long. You see, you don't know. So, what is that intelligence that can guide all of this? That is only your intuitive presence. You see, so you can trust that. You can trust that. So, Guruji talks about his time, no? When he came back from India and he went to his teaching job, and those jobs, uh, those jobs are very difficult to get. And his supervisor told him that you have to go to the countryside and teach some children for some time and things. And he just said, found his mouth saying, "I quit," with no intervention from his mind. His mouth just said, "I quit." And it could feel like the silliest idea from given his life situation at that time, but it turned into such amazing grace for all of us, thousands of us, no? So we don't really know, mentally we don't really know what is best for us and what is worst for us. Mhm.
Thank you, Father. Father, please
Yeah.
bless me so I have greater faith
Yes, yes, yes.
in the path,
It happens.
in the
It
Master.
happens.
Please,
Yes.
please bless me.
All my
Thank
blessings for that. And it happens organically because you will hear something in satsang, you will be able to let go of some things because of that. You will see yourself more open, more spacious, and that will lead to further trust. Then you'll become more open. You see, that's how it usually develops anyway. So it's fine. It's
Thank
so,
you, Father. Thank you so much.
thanks.
Pranam, Father.
So welcome. So welcome. Thank you. Mhm.